English 122, Day 3, Claims and Reasons in Argumentative Writing. From Writing Arguments, pages 59 through 70. A recognizable argument structure, including a thesis, is necessary to convert your exploratory writing about your ideas into writing that is more responsible, effective, and persuasive. Classical argument is structured after the persuasive speeches of ancient Greek and Roman orators and contains several distinct sections. The first section is known as the exordium. This is where the writer gets the audience's attention. Next comes the narratio, which provides needed background information. Here, the writer may state the issue directly as a question or by briefly summing up opposing views, and this section also provides needed context to the reader. Next comes the propositio section, which is the actual claim or thesis itself, followed by the partitio section, which forecasts the main parts of the argument. The next section is known as the confirmatio. This section presents the arguments supporting the claim, reasons, and evidence that tie into the audience's values, beliefs, and assumptions. Usually, each reason will be developed in its own paragraph and supported with evidence. Transitions are also used to guide readers between paragraphs in the confirmatio section. Next comes the confutatio section, which summarizes and rebuts opposing views. This section summarizes several opposing arguments together and then will compose a single response or may summarize and respond to each argument in turn. This section responds to opposing views either by refuting them or by conceding to their strengths and shifting to a different field of values. Finally, the peroratio section concludes by summing up the argument, calling for action, and leaving the reader with a strong, lasting impression and sense of closure. In addition to the various sections of classical argument, arguments can also be analyzed according to their rhetorical contexts and the types of claims they use. The rhetorical triangle, as we see here, illustrates the relationship between the purpose, audience, and writer of an argument. Let's first consider purpose, which involves logical appeals. Logos refers to claims that focus attention on the clarity of the argument itself, the quality of its message, its internal consistency, and the logic of its reasons and support. It relates to the strength of the subject or purpose of the text itself. Next, let's consider audience. Pathos refers to claims that focus attention on the values and beliefs of the intended audience and that appeal to the audience's emotional and imaginative sympathies, engaging their feelings to move them to a deeper appreciation of the argument's significance. Pathos relates to the investment of the audience in the argument itself. Finally, consider the writer of a text. Ethos refers to claims that focus attention on the writer's character as it is projected in the argument and is conveyed through the tone and style of the message, through the care with which the writer considers alternative views, and through the writer's investment in his or her claim. Ethos relates to the credibility of the writer of a persuasive text. It's important to remember that at the heart of any argument is an issue, a controversial topic area that gives rise to differing points of view and conflicting claims. Focus an issue by asking an issue question that invites at least two alternative answers. Any complex issue will yield a number of separate issue questions. Consider the difference between explication and argumentation. Explication is writing that sets out to inform or explain, while argumentation, on the other hand, is writing that sets out to change the reader's mind about an issue. If a reader is interested in a writer's issue question mainly to gain new knowledge about a subject, then the essay would be considered explication rather than argument. However, if the writer's relationship to the audience is that of a teacher to a learner so that the audience hopes to gain new information, knowledge, or an understanding that the writer possesses, then the question is likewise probably an informative question. But if the writer's relationship to the audience is that of an advocate or a decision maker, so that the audience needs to make up its own minds about something and is weighing different points of view, then the question is a true issue question. Although every argument features an issue question with alternative answers, rational arguments require several additional features. Rational arguments require reasonable participants who operate within the conventions of reasonable behavior, meaning participants who are willing to modify their views as they acknowledge the strengths of an alternative view or weaknesses in their own view, so as to allow for the possibility of growth and change. Rational arguments also require potentially shared assumptions that can serve as a starting place or foundation for the argument. Although calling assumptions into questions is a legitimate way to deepen and complicate our understanding of an issue, unwillingness to accept any assumption makes the argument impossible. So you want to find these shared assumptions between the reader and the audience, however small they may be. Always remember that every argument begins with an issue question, but that it is the task of the writer to take the position on the issue and support it with reasons and evidence. The claim or thesis is the position that the writer wants the audience to accept. It is usually a one-sentence summary answer to the issue question. The reasons or premises, also known as key points, are also claims, but they're claims that are used to support another claim, namely the thesis. These reasons are linked to the thesis so that the thesis follows logically from the reasons. The frame of an argument consists of a claim, which is the thesis statement of the essay, supported by one or more reasons, which are in turn supported by evidence or sequences of further reasoning. Remember this structure as you construct persuasive essays.